And I can relate that people are saying that it's been a particularly trying time period for emotional outburst, be it anger, be it, you know, I don't know if I heard sadness, but people certainly feeling like there's angst and anger in the air. And one thought that occurred to me is that due to the fact that we're all opening up to our empathic powers, and you just listed them off, they're, hard to hard to pronounce words, the clairvoyance and the clairsentience and all of that. Um, it would stand to say that if that is true and we are opening up to these things, that as that happens in the very beginning stages, we're actually going to be acting out our surroundings to a large degree, because there are people who are carrying around very deep pools of dross, and the actual environment itself is going to have deep pools of dross just stagnant within it, because the Western world, so to speak, is kind of not paying attention to the feng shui of the environment, be it your homes, be it the neighborhood, and all of that. So as we become the first to be sensitive, then it would stand to say that there's just going to be like this dramatization where you're going to be feeling all these emotions, but you don't necessarily have any reason to personalize them as though you need to take culpability, that like they're their own emotions, that there's something that already was inside of you. I don't personally believe that that's the case all the time. And so we're right back to that question of how can we work within this new environment, and what are the strategies that we can use to continually ground ourselves, continually root into the earth, continually find ourselves in a mode of emptying our vessel, or attempting to empty our vessel, so that we are not carrying around something that will be able to be triggered, that the emotions that we have within are just aspects of the world that are being plucked like little strings. So is any of that resonate with anyone, or even Marcia yourself, that, we might be acting some dramatizations out?
Oh, absolutely. And, there's this notion that as you begin to ascend or move into a more expanded state of consciousness or awareness, that you're going to be in this like Zen, peaceful state, when in fact you're becoming so sensitive that every little thing hurts and every little thing feels intense and almost overbearing. And that's where the true mastership actually comes, is when we can feel and hold the full spectrum of emotions, the full spectrum of even, polarized or paradoxical thoughts simultaneously, and still be holding that neutral space within it. And so it's not that we, just miraculously reach some peaceful state. It's that we learn to kind of move and flow with these energies coming at us, and begin to dance with them, rather than kind of, feel like just so much stimuli is coming at us that it's constantly overbearing, which it is, if we're not in that flow with it.
And there's this constant ebb and flow of, casting off this victim that can easily creep in, and then going back and, dancing with the faith that you have to bring back into it, that this isn't the enduring forever. Whatever you're experiencing right now, your mind has a infinite capacity to expand that into infinity. And so you can become desperate and full of despair very quickly. And obviously that has its values, so that you can learn how that feels and what happens when you go in that direction. But faith in and of itself is, cleaving to that which is, hopefully more resting and more loving and more full of surrender. It's an easy thing or it's a simple thing to talk about, but it's not an easy thing to execute as a human. And so, as Marcia said, there's this ideology that you'll become full of Zen. You'll feel this expansive grace as you open up to your more sensitive attributes. And it's an ebb and flow. You will have glimpses of that expansiveness, but you also will be put into a very small, confined space spiritually, and asked to feel your most expansive self within that too. So there's an inversion taking place. And if you feel really bad right now, I always have to say, well, man, this is another opportunity to feel as expansive as I possibly can within this very confined emotional space. So, that line that Marsha brought forward, let go of the victim mask, whatever it is. If it's a victimhood, a victim chewed, a victim mask, it's only necessary for as long as you need it. It's fully within the mental apparatus of yourself. It's not the most true part of yourself. Does that sound okay, Marsha? It's not the most true part of yourself, really. It's something that you're using to evolve.
It's a lens, and it's part of our soul, or part of our personality self is wounded, and so it's coming through as an aspect rather than a facet, which means that it hasn't fully integrated. And so we may read or feel or see something through that wounded lens and have it completely tear us apart inside, and then after we've integrated it, see, feel, hear the exact same thing and have it have complete neutrality, even though it's the same word, same person, same situation. But because we're no longer looking through that lens, we don't have the, the angst that comes with it. But that takes work. I mean, that takes recognizing, okay, I'm coming from a victimized place right now, which Spirit has taught me, wherever the victim is showing up, the martyr is also showing up. So to always kind of be observant of where those energies might be playing out, and then ultimately to remember that if it is happening to us on the personality physical plane level, our soul has already accepted it, or it wouldn't be happening to us. And that doesn't mean accepted it like, this is groovy, this is what I want to happen, but accepted it in the sense that it's part of the curriculum. It might not feel good necessarily to the human that is experiencing it, but it might be absolutely crucial for the soul curriculum of what we actually came here to experience and learn, and then take with us to where we're going next.
Excellent. So there's actually a mode of acceptance that you should stay like in the pocket of. Could you go into a little bit more deeply, Marsha, into what you just said about when a martyr comes with the victim? I don't know if I necessarily grasp.
So this is just a lesson that Spirit has taught me, and of course, only take what feels true to you, but that whenever there's a victim energy, it always comes with a martyr energy. And Spirit showed me, whenever I was being in a victim consciousness, that my soul was actually kind of perpetrating it on the other side. And so while it was important for me to embrace what I was feeling, it was also very important for me not to get like stuck or wallowed in that cycle where I couldn't keep myself afloat. And so there was this fine line walk of recognizing, okay, I feel victimized right here because of X, Y, and Z, or I feel martyred in this particular situation. Because often when we feel victimized, especially if you're a giver, it's because you have overgiven, and then someone has, stepped on the toe of you, the 30th, thing that you have given, and now you're suddenly in a martyr mode, which is a victim mode in and of itself. And so I don't know if that makes any sense. I can try to explain it more deeply if I'm not hitting the mark here.
Well, I got confused at the forefront because at first I thought, your soul is, forcing you to go from a victim to a martyr and then to just transcend both identities, once you're out of the spiral, and that it's kind of like an evolution that you have to go into victim to get to martyr and then to transcend the whole weave altogether. But maybe that's not necessarily the case.
To me, they've just been shown as like a figure eight energy, that once you're in one, you're often kind of like moving into the other back and forth. And so just Spirit has always just said to me, be observant. Whenever you're in a martyr energy, you're most likely also in a victim energy, and vice versa. Of course, like I said, if that doesn't feel accurate to you, by all means, leave it by the side of the road.
Fair enough. I just really great stuff. What should we segue into the next theme?
Sure. So one of the things that we were really being asked to focus on is vibrational alignment. And what does that actually mean? And oftentimes on a personality self level, we can get really frustrated when we think we're lined up for the outcome that we desire, but we usually have one layer of ourselves or multi layers that are still holding on in some way, in ways that we don't even realize. And so Spirit is just encouraging that our thought, our word, and our deed have to match our outcome that we desire in order to experience that in the external world. And that we are ready to experience this level of abundance, but it will require not looking back and kind of hanging on to previous roadblocks or creating new stories about old stories. That we're actually being encouraged to leap into this exciting new world of possibilities, but we have to be okay not knowing. It goes back to that feeling our way through the dark. And the lyrics here were, I don't want to lose control. So once again, Spirit reminding us that the human, the personality, ego self, it fuels itself off of feeling in control of life, and it can very quickly, plummet to its greatest depths when it feels something has gone out of its control. But if we are meeting ourselves in that devotional practice that we talked about, whatever feels good to us, that allows us to hear our inner self, or just even be connected to that inner self, we begin creating enough quantum charge that we begin to rise above a lot of those vibrations that would just quickly suck us into self-doubt, or put us into guilt or into shame, that would keep us from being in our creator selves. And one of the greatest ways that we are being asked to honor ourselves moving forward, to stay in true health, as Spirit calls it, is to really honor the body as the vessel for the soul. That we have been programmed that the body sort of just kind of moves the mind around wherever it goes, or it moves the personality self around. And unless you are an athlete or someone who is using the body in a very specific way, often the body is kind of the last thing that is getting our attention. And so we're really being encouraged to allow it to have a voice and to start paying attention to it. As simple as, like, maybe we're typing something out and we get that feeling of thirst, and we tell the body, even unconsciously, like, oh, I'll get to you as soon as I'm finished this. It's those little missed impulses that actually take us out of the vibration of soul. So if we can get out of the mind, stop for a second, stretch, get the drink of water, go get the fresh air outside, even if it's, so annoying to the personality self to have to break that flow or that stride, it connects us once again to that realm of soul. And we won't go to bed at night feeling like we wasted a day, or that we were out of alignment, or we missed the mark, because we're constantly reconnecting to that true health. The other thing Spirit brought up here was that root chakra issues are coming up right now to be upwoven. So we talked about 2022 being an instant replay year, where anything that got by us, in times before where we just didn't collect that spiritual debris, or we weren't able to integrate it for whatever reason. So it's coming back around, and particularly issues around survival, finances, our physical body, physical health, sustenance, safety, and shelter. So big root chakra issues. And yet Spirit encourages that we are being given an opportunity to look at our situations from the past with a more expanded kind of eagle eye perspective. And that our health is inextricably tied to Mother Earth's health. So we've talked a lot about how the powers that were have attempted to really weaponize so many things within our environment. And we may have some signs of that showing within our physical health. So one of the things that we can do is, especially if we're doing a devotional practice where we're connecting with nature in some way, we can use that time, that connection, to merge ourselves with the mother, to merge our physical body with the Mother Earth's body. And through that merge, we actually create that link, as above, so below, heaven meeting earth. And it kind of it's so powerful that it cancels out all of this interference. And so it can be as simple as, petting our dog or our cat, or watering our plants. If you're able to do it, getting barefoot on the earth, or putting your hands on a tree. All of these things really help us to connect to the heartbeat of the mother. And it's the fastest way to restore our energy body to what Spirit calls true health. We're also being encouraged to move our body the way that it desires. So many of us may have grown up with like exercise or do this to look a certain way. And spirit says, no, no, no. Move your body to feel good. Move your body the way that it desires. And if we think about little kids, like they'll be just walking down the street and then all of a sudden they'll do like break out into dance or like start running out of nowhere. They're just doing what their body wants to do. And they're not worried about, who else is considering them in that moment or thinking about it. So we are being encouraged to move our bodies the way that they desire, to receive massage, energy work, acupuncture, any modality which actually shifts the energy body. Because as Spirit said earlier, it is that light body which will allow us to keep the physical body in its greatest health. And if we're not focusing on the energy body, we may kind of find ourselves dipping below that waterline.